Welcome, connoisseurs of fine common cardboard, to today's live stream and to this final iteration of our marathon set review for Commander Masters CMM. I've got the man himself here, Clay, to back me up on our investigations of the last color we haven't covered, which is red, perhaps one of the most impactful colors that we've had in all the downshifts that we've gotten from this set. Bunch of really exciting stuff. I'm excited to have you all here, and I'm really excited. I love it when we get to do videos together, Clay. So thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, so just to get started here, we're gonna just want to thank everybody for joining us today. We're gonna just pop open chat so I can see what we got going here. And yeah, we're gonna be covering red for Commander Masters. And boy, this set's been a banger, hey? Like, what were your first impressions when this stuff started to drop?
So this is really easy because my impressions aren't fully formed yet.
Yeah.
As some of you may not know, I was away from home this last week for a very, very difficult training,
Yeah.
and
Project
uh,
management. You're getting
yeah,
getting learned out there.
yeah, I'm practicing for my PMP cert. So
PMP is project management.
professional, yeah.
Professional. Yeah.
So, kind of an intensive thing. So I was keeping up, like every night I was in the chat and all that stuff. That was literally me laying down in bed, typing on the laptop that I brought with me, just so I could engage and kind of keep up with what was going. Plus,
Yeah.
we'll get back to the cast of this last week, in a second. So my impression is there are some things that have knocked my socks off. There's things that as soon as they were spoiled, I walked over to my collection of cards. I grabbed them out. I immediately swapped them into the decks right there, and like that was it. But like as far as like the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty, exploring all the depth and breadth and width and height and all that stuff of the set.
Length.
Yeah, I have
I had
not.
to say it. Come on.
Yeah, I have not got there yet. So
Yeah.
uh, I will be scouring this next week,
Yep.
looking for tech, seeing if there's anything that I missed. I don't. I like building new stuff, but I'm not really in a position to I can't be building and building and building because I'm one of those guys that likes to live with it for a little while, like
I
TPI's
hear you.
the latest one. Yeah, so
I
so
also appreciate when I can do that, but we gotta keep giving these folks the freshness. You know what I mean?
hmm
Clay's responsibility and his role in this community is to constantly revisit the stuff that people discount. And I think that's a really important thing that you do. I also went back and dug through my stuff when it spoiled, and I found my foil Cryptic Serpent and my foil Murmuring Mystic because
Nice.
for those of you who haven't seen in blue, the two commanders, both of which that were on the cPDH deck database, have both. I want to say it's like they got demoted, but they actually got promoted.
hmm
And we're going to be talking about some stuff. I'm not going to spill the beans for you all now, but Clay and I are working on some really exciting and revolutionary stuff in blue, particularly with this one, with Murmuring Mystic. So we're going to be
hmm
talking about that. Watch for a live stream soon.
Alternate
Um,
commander. That's all
yeah,
you need to
we're
know.
not going to say too much more than that, but basically, this set was enormously impactful. And just to describe a little bit of my process with it, I was in Canada at Shambhala Music Festival for Wednesday evening all the way through till Monday at 3 in the morning, Tuesday at 3 in the morning, because I had to drive all the way back and it was miserable and
As
really
one
long
does.
drive.
Yeah.
So I was away for a long time. Friday came around. I opened up my phone. I had just woken up from. It's been a marathon. I'm exhausted. I'm really glad that we're reaching the end of this. But literally Thursday, so Wednesday we drove all night to get to Republic, Washington, which is in Eastern Washington, trying to get to BC, which is kind of like angular to this place called Salmo, right? And it's 8.5, 9 hours away. So I drove all the way to Republic with some friends. We camped there that night. In the morning, we drove from there to get to British Columbia, crossed the border, went to Salmo where Shambhala was happening, which is one of the world's best music festivals. And then we spent 14 hours in line
I mean,
in 95-degree heat.
yeah.
Nothing was moving. We finally set up camp at 11 p.m. at night. And I woke up the next day, turned on my phone, and had literally 12 direct messages from people being like, dread return, gutter snipe,
Mm.
like generous gift, like all this stuff, right? Teshar. And it was like, oh my God, I can't do this festival until I've like sat down and done some Twitter posting and some other stuff. So I'm like doing my thing on my phone. My thumbs are getting sore because I'm doing all this Twitter design work. I'm operating off like one bar. And we've got, I get a signal that says, you're out of roaming data. Would you like to pay $5 more for more? And so I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've got to, right? Like everybody's like getting dressed in their Wookish outfits and this crazy stuff, and people are doing wild things. And I'm like, guys, I have to like focus in for like 3 hours, 4 hours to like just get this done. So I set my backpack up and all my stuff in my tent, and I'm like leaning up against it. It's 95 degrees, and I'm just like crushing Twitter, crushing Discord, on Canva, doing all this stuff. My phone's overheating, and finally I had to tap out, and then my phone went away for 4 days. So I and then the drive back was we had to wait 5 hours in line just to get out, and then it was 9-10 hours back. So I got home at 3 a.m. in the morning, and on the way was Friday. I messaged you, and you're like, Clay, I need you to organize 5 live streams for me to go hard next week, starting on Tuesday. So I woke up at 7 in the morning for work after I got home at 3, worked a full 9-hour day, got home and live streamed, and I've been doing that nonstop all week till today. So today I can like let go of all this stuff, and that feels really good. I know you guys are here for the spoilers, but like I just gotta get that out because I've been on the grind, the fucking grind, and it's all for you guys because this stuff is really fun and it means a lot. So. Okay.
Let's get to the cookie.
Let's get to the cookie. We got a couple comments here. Sniff says it's a banger.
Yeah.
You're damn right it is. Slats on the definitely. Anthony, welcome, my friend. Glad I'm not alone. I'm not alone in the grind. Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to it. Let's do it to it. First one here, we have Blood Aspirant. This 2-mana 1/1 says whenever you sack a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This is basically Bloodbriar. It's very similar to Mortician Beetle, Gixian Infiltrator. It has some other text. Do you think that's really ever going to matter much?
So I do. So
Can't block.
Okay, so the most relevant thing on the card is the fact that it says can't block, right? And well, okay. I'm not one, and I get criticized for this all the time. I'm not one for be definitive about anything because, like, I don't know what I don't know, right? So
neither of us are. That's one of the reasons why we make good content, I think.
Right. So, but yeah, I think the can't block is probably the more relevant for certain aggro strategies because you're not necessarily going to kill, but you're just creating like a red deck win scenario where your creature's going to get through.
Yeah.
Where I think this card might be multimodal is like the 1 damage isn't really enough damage output to kill the majority of things in the format, but TPI, Secure a Tribe Scout, Firebrand Archer,
any untapper, most untappers. Most scouts.
Yeah, a good percentage of those
some pingers,
mechanical pieces. Yeah, some of the pingers, some of the mechanical pieces for combo. You know, so it's not.
I hadn't thought about it that way.
So it's not really. It's in this weird space now. What that does. So you've got the can't block piece, and then you've got the damage control piece. You know, I think this is kind of like mid-rangey feeling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like mostly aggressive because most of the time you're just swinging with it. But there's no reason why you can't hang back and ping a TPI, ping a pinger, ping a combo creature. And on-board effects like this, they end up playing in this format kind of like stacks, right? Because combo in our format is all creature-based.
Glad to hear that
very
word.
Few of them.
What was that word?
I mean... stacks. I'll go on record here and just say, like, I think stacks is an awful terminology. It doesn't mean anything because it's so divorced from its original usage.
Hmm.
And even the original terminology that most people think it relates to, which is smokestacks, is not it. It's the $4,000 solution. If you've read Clay's article, then you'll know that. You really should. Clay, if you would take a moment, find that article and put it in chat.
You sure
Folks, you
can.
should read this. It's a really good collab with Clay and our newest moderator at the Common Connoisseurs, Finhorn Brownie, the Mono White Maester himself. I will maintain that stacks is terrible terminology. I would prefer that we didn't use it because I spend a lot of time getting new players into the game. And when you tell them stacks, it's a very in-group language. And when you tell them, oh, stacks means what? Well, really, it means like 15 different things. It could be making your opponent pay for attacking. It could be mass edicts. It could be sweepers. It could be rule of law. It could be you can't play your commander with Drannith Magistrate. And then in our format, most of those effects aren't actually at common. So what we get is we get repeat removal, like Mayhem Devil is a stacks effect. This is a stacks effect. Bloodseeker is a stacks effect. Suture Priest, Standard Bearer, Coalition Honor Guard, any sort of flickerable destruction effect, like a creature or enchantment or artifact effect. So our stacks that we have, if we're going to use that word, and I'd love for the community to come up with something better, right? Like something that's more descriptive.
I don't.
But
I don't mind. I don't mind the word so much because
they're
uh, the
control pieces.
the
That's
way
really like
the
another
way
way to
I
look at it.
the way I look at it is for every single format, stacks is different. So if stacks is different for every single format,
Right.
then we can call it stacks and it still be different. We'll
Yep.
be on par with what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
we just have what Ryan's getting to is that we have yet to adequately define what it is. So people are
Yeah.
throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. So
Well, and there's also like there's like asking what a stacks card is and what a stacks deck is, and those are also different. So it's a really confusing morass. But basically, long story short, the way it relates to this is that this card will sometimes act as a stacks effect in that it will be combo prevention, right? It will prevent your opponent from being able to secure a combo creature out that won't die. And
permanent
so
permanent based.
permanent base things, and that's
Yeah.
because stacks in our format has so much to do with creatures, right? And so any removal effect is going to do that. So a couple of decks that this looks really good in. I think the best home for it is probably Mayhem Devil. Mayhem Devil is going to, in some cases, immediately make this into a 7/7 because you'll resolve it. You'll have blood and treasure tokens in play. You'll crack treasure for blood, treasure for blood, treasure for blood, treasure for blood, and it'll immediately be like a 6/6. So this is kind of like a second copy of Mayhem Devil in the sense that the moment you resolve it, like Gixian Infiltrator, you're going to create a huge threat, right? And it's going to be completely manaless. So I really like this card for that reason. And I think that's something that, again, we're going to have to go back to the drawing board on Mayhem Devil because cards like this absolutely fuck in Mayhem Devil. They're so big. This is not a 1/1, you know? And it's going to continue to get bigger, right? If we were
Absolutely.
casting edicts, it could easily become a 10/10, right? Like very, very big. So that's
Right,
one home.
because the first line of text is independent of the second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Sacking enchantments probably not going to be a thing. Sacking creatures could be. It's too bad it's not artifact. That would be even better. But we're not going to complain too much. The fact that it can make things not block also could be potentially relevant for things that have lifelink. That's another way that could be good. Yeah, card is really good. Card is definitely cracked. So a couple of other homes for it that really are going to be in the same kind of orbit and same vein are going to be Gut, Agent of the Iron Throne. I think, Clay, you and I both agreed that Boros Gut, the Inspiring Leader, probably doesn't play this. I think that it's possible. Like, if you saw it in a deck, would you think it was bad? Probably
No,
not.
well, no. So it depends on the line of having interacted with the people who play, and constructed that deck. It's a matter of choosing what effects you want, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you would have to forego some form of like protection for the
yep,
list to be
yep,
able to make it more aggressive. So
yeah.
it's just one of those things that yes, it could be played because the sacking of the permanent is relevant, but is it falling into what their game plan is? Because if
Yeah,
you're
it's a
using
bit
it,
slow.
If you're using it to attack, you can't use it for the control portion on the
Yeah,
backside. So that's why we said that Rakdos Gut mid range would probably be a better home.
yeah. I think there's another element to this too, which is that it's I don't know that it's as much for me about the tapping versus the attacking part, but I think that like what you see here is that Blood Aspirant in a gut deck becomes a 2/2 when gut comes out. It becomes a 3/3 the next turn and a 4/4. So it's slow. You know, it's like it doesn't get that big. You might have treasures that you're cracking too, and it
Mhm.
might be bigger. But Mayhem Devil's built to generate so many treasures and blood tokens, right? That's what
Mhm.
it does.
Mhm.
And so I think it's just less hot, you know? Stormclaw Rager, actually very similar to Mayhem Devil. I think these decks are very similar. One is more controlling and one is more aggressive. The Mayhem Devil is going to be clapping cheeks. The Stormclaw Rager, a little bit less so. The funny thing is that Mayhem Devil actually is a removal piece, whereas Stormclaw isn't. So they're kind of different flavors, right? One's drawing more cards and getting passively bigger, whereas the Mayhem Devil is like a stacks piece that once you resolve it and you have all these tokens in play, you can just murder anything at any time for free.
Mhm.
That interaction between blood and treasure is very powerful. So Stormclaw seems good. I think Jury as well. Jury plays a lot of aggressive, cheap creatures. It plays a very similar card base to Mayhem Devil and Gut. They're playing a lot of the same actors,
Mhm.
really. If we treat them all as like the Rakdos, like the Rakdos troop, you know,
Mhm.
they're all kind of doing the same things. I did want to mention Scarland, Thrinax, and Garna as well.
Mhm.
Um, Garna is not a deck that's seeing a lot of play right now by my observation.
Mhm.
Um, but it's the kind of deck that when I've played against it or when I've played with it, people don't really know what you're doing with it because the trigger is kind of complicated and you can do some stupid shit. I've 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 had games where I killed the entire table at a life total that they didn't think was going to be possible. But it's also the kind of deck that when you start to do that, then it becomes hard to do it again because people get reminded that it's explosive. And it's also a 4 mana commander in a
Mhm.
deck that doesn't want to run ramp.
Mhm.
So you're kind of like getting two casts of it maybe over the course of a game. But I think Blood Aspirant would be a home for it because
Mhm.
you could make this huge, right? Like you know, maybe if you have a sack outlet in play and somebody goes to sweep your board and you sacrifice everything, this thing's not going to die. And you're
Mhm.
going to ping everybody for one. And then you're going to have a huge blood aspirant, you know, maybe
Mhm.
like 8 power, right? So, and then Scarland Thrinax, I thought deserved a mention
Mhm.
here because being Jund actually is kind of a big deal for aristocrats, right?
Mhm.
It's like you're getting access to a lot of tech. I think this
I
is like
think
the Reed
now,
Duke
now,
commander, right?
now,
Like,
now that I've had an opportunity to think about it a little bit more after
right.
discussing it, so uh, you could still run it in that because Tyrnax is yeah, Tyrnax, Tenax, whatever. It's basically a first day of class deck, which means it wants
Yes.
non-tapping sacrifice outlets.
Yep. Yep.
And thinking about this a little bit more, like Tyrnax can attack, so
Yep. Yeah.
like using your aspirant, who also may or may not be big as well, to guarantee that at least something can't block. Depending on what that looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
That
It seems
so
good.
yeah,
I,
I'm not saying
Generally
yeah.
speaking, like it's got a lot of homes. Any deck that does sacrificing of stuff is probably going to want this in red as your
Mhm.
heuristic for it. And it has a little bit of extra tech that may be relevant sometimes. So, how about we move on from this one? You ready to go?
Yeah, man.
Cool. All right. Next one we have Cyclops Electromancer. This one it is a bit more defined by decks that can reuse the ETB.
Hmm.
So some ways that we could do that are flickers and grave flickers.
Hmm.
And there's a couple of decks that do that, but they need to be spellslinger decks, right?
Right.
So
The first line in my notes, it says, "This is not Flame Tongue Kavu. It requires more setup."
it's also more expensive.
By one, yeah.
In the decks where it is Flame Tongue Kavu, it's better because
Hmm.
it's not going to be 4 damage. It's going to be like 7, 8. Like it will be a
Yeah.
full on
So
murder,
so
right?
what it represents in the spell slinger decks is spell slinger decks have an inherent weakness in the fact that they lack blockers. So this is an
They do.
opportunity to
Huge.
incorporate removal on a body. Now you do lose opportunity there to hit any target, but having this at a minimum, having this as one option for creature removal.
It's big.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's big. I
that's
I
also
think
a 4/2.
and it's a 4/2, right? So it's a removal spell on its body as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 2-for-1. And that's really why Flame Tongue Kavu was always so good,
Mm-hmm.
was that it was like, not only is this like a good attacker, but it's going to eat something big and it's going to kill something big when it ETBs,
Mm-hmm.
right? Flame Tongue Kavu, mark my words, we're going to get that at common
Oh yeah,
someday.
I can't wait.
Easy, right? Like, and it'll be amazing, right? It'll be such a good card. One of the reasons I like Cyclops Electromancer is that we've been talking a little bit about that balance between Crackling Drake being a control deck and potentially being a combo deck. And I think with the new thing that we're going to be trying, the answer is a little more clear as to what we're going to be doing. But that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean we still couldn't run Ghostly Flicker and Displace with Archaeomancers and set up a loop, right? You go Archaeomancer and Ghostly Flicker with Cyclops. Boom, 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 boom. Just kill things over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that seems really strong to me. This also works great with the Grave Flickers, because if somebody attacks into you, you block, cast the Grave Flicker, it dies, it's going to come back and it's going to kill another thing. But I got to say, the dirtiest home for it has got to be a red-based Abdel deck. Being
Oh
able to turn
yeah.
any flicker on Abdel into repeat removal with Cyclops is going to be very good. And I'm very excited about a mid-range Abdel Street Urchin deck where you have anthems, you have good kill spells, you have great protection, and then your card advantage is just built into all the things that you flicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you still get a combo, right? You still get a combo with Ardent Elementalist and with Revolutionist,
Mm-hmm.
and you can still combo. You basically still get the Peregrine, the Ghostly Flicker combo, because you can Cloud Shift, or you can, what's the white one called? The new one, white that draws a card? Scroll Shift.
Oh
You can
yes.
scroll shift, so scroll shift on, I mean, there's so many ways to do it. And then Street Urchin just becomes this enormously oppressive makeshift munitions in the command zone,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, it seems sweet. Like, maybe we'll need to do a Let's build on this, like Boros mid-range Abdel. So Cyclops seems great there. Even if Cyclops hits for 3, I think it's going to be Flame Tongue Kavu, right?
Yeah, I mean, being able to, especially in a flicker scenario, because we talk about this all the time about getting the value out of your flicker spell. This was
Yeah.
the reason why Warden of the Eye was built the way it was. Is I
Yeah.
can
Ooh, it would be good there.
take any, well, it says non-creature permanent, so you couldn't get it back. That's the problem. But anyway,
Yeah.
like being able to take a cloud shift and turn that into a removal spell, there's some equity in
Huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
in that. So
Ooh.
it's this has great opportunity in the right list. Does it go in every list? Maybe not. You might want to preface other removal wizard. Yeah, you can search for it. Yeah, you might want to preface other removal depending on what your build and what your strategy is. But like, the goal here is to not necessarily just highlight corner cases, but show like some broad strokes of
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
possible. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
and
And
that
I think,
that go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was going to say that Torwaki list kind of helps kind of codify
Yeah.
what we're meaning. Like, sure, we're getting all these extra pingers and all of that stuff, but like
So many.
Torwaki suffers from the blocker
Just
problem.
dying.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we've got, you started on the, so I was one of the first people that built Torwalki. I was pretty excited about it. I had some good performances with it that were like, wow, this is oppressive as fuck. If you let it go, if you let it happen, right? It's like very scary, because it's life gain in the command zone as well as removal. It's like turning every spell you've got into removal.
In Rakdos.
In Rakdos, right? It's unbelievable, right? And it's also got lifelink, which means you can just put cranial plating on your commander. It's got reach. It's like, it's a lot going on there. And the thing that I think I'm gonna have to do a rebuild of Torwauki. This might be another thing we'll work on together. But one of the things you started doing when you made Torwauki is you said, Ryan, what about the token makers?
Hmm.
And there's a couple of reasons why I really like the token makers. One is that Impact Tremors, Witty Roastmaster, you get more pingers when you actually play the token
And we
makers.
got the bats, and we've
And we
got
got the bats now.
what's the black one that
Dude,
was this?
the Nadir,
Yeah.
the Nadir
So we
Nightblade.
got two
Yeah,
more pieces
so
that
many
tie into the
reasons.
tokens. Yeah.
And the tokens block for you. They take initiative in Monarch, and
Yeah.
you can sacrifice them to makeshift munitions. And if we're playing a lot of instants and sorceries, which we want to do in the deck, then Cyclops is going to be great. And we play on dying effects in that deck to protect, so we could do a lot of stuff.
To quantify and qualify a little bit better, like my tournament performance in the CBB 100, where Puzzle won with Gretchen, I was doing a great job of controlling the board because I was metagaming against the
you were.
cEDH creatures and basically board
The one
wiping.
damage to everything stuff.
The problem that I was having is that once people figured out what I was doing, once Torwauki is off the board, a lot of those spells become irrelevant. So with a refined pinger package with some built-in, like the two token pingers with the two black token pingers, now you have redundancy in the deck. I mean, just with the two any one of the two with the bats on the field generating tokens, to be like, okay, swing 6 goblins at you. Oh, you're gonna block? Oh, everybody takes damage.
Everybody's going to take a bunch of damage now.
Yeah.
And think about it too. If we add in makeshift munitions becomes a shock every time you do it. And on top of that, if we have tokens in play that are dying with the Nadir Stoneblade or with the Mirkwood bats.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I mean, and there's even like Hissing Iguanar, where you could play Hissing Iguanar and it's like 2 to everything all the time, right? And so I'm really excited about the implications for Torwauki, because Torwauki needs to become more resilient by having more bodies, but by playing more bodies.
In the absence of Torwauki, yes.
Right, in the absence of Torwauki. You need to be able to do stuff without Torwauki, because Torwauki is a lightning rod. It does die because it threatens everything in play all the time. It's a very scary commander. It's doing basically the same thing as Conductor of Cacophony and Crypt Rats, except that it's a little bit more targeted. So I think it's a little... Crypt Rats is like everything's going to die. Conductor of Cacophony, everything's going to die. Torwauki is more like certain things are going to die, and they're going to die over and over and over again until the bubbles stop. Hold their head underwater and then just blip, 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 and then it stops, right? Like
so,
this.
Yeah. The other component of, not to fangirl all over Torwauki, but
fangirl all over Torwauki.
Another problem with the original or early Torwauki builds is time limit. So all of these new cards released in the last year or so,
they help close the game.
They close the game.
Well, and I never had any trouble with Torwauki ending the game because I ended up finding that
90 minutes. Yeah.
90 minutes should be plenty, because Torwauki does have the ability to just do a ton of face damage. I've killed people from like 15 life before. No problem. When you need to do it, you can. And a lot of it's like triggers as well. But you're right that these cards are helping you end the game.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the reason I like Cyclops
Torwauki,
there is because...
let's build on the horizon, folks.
Let's do it. It'll be a let's tune, I guess, right? We'll be working to tune it.
There you go. Yeah.
And there's more homes than this. I want to be clear that what we're listing here is just projecting out what we think could see a home, and maybe some certain homes. But yeah, that's definitely one of them.
I mean, in any one of these recommendations, it could end up being hot garbage and we're full of shit and all that stuff. And
could be.
That's fine. Yeah, the idea is just if I said something that helped stimulate juices, the creative juices, that's all
what we want.
That's all I'm hoping for.
That's what we're here for. Our building this community in the first place was to create a really safe place for people to experiment with new and unusual things. And so if anything, during these set reviews, we really want to express how many different possible options there are for something, while not necessarily covering everything. We'll leave that to you all. You'll find other homes for this, but let's move to Gutter Snipe. This is a great transition from Torque.
Talk about hot garbage.
Holy shit! Moving on. So Gutter Snipe is really interesting because Gutter Snipe is a very powerful downshift, but when I started to look at the number of homes it had, it was like, actually, it's not a super wide range, but the homes that it gets are really good. They're really, really good. Torwalkie makes this hit for 3. That's 10% of everyone's life. It's 10% of the boards. I mean, it's very sick. You're dealing 9 to everybody with Torwalkie. The funny thing is, so Sniff says it doesn't even make sense. He makes the decks that he goes in wild. Yeah. I mean, Torwalkie, he goes hard as fuck in Torwalkie. I mean, this is like, if you have, and Torwalkie is going to be on like 9 pingers. I mean, like that's really, really close to Third Path Iconoclast,
Everything,
which we'll talk about in a
except
moment.
for the artifact ones.
Yeah, everything but the artifacts. You'll get to play all the creature pingers. You get this one as well, and
that's
this is a ton of damage.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay, yeah.
And we can also tutor for it. It's a goblin, right?
Yeah.
We can goblin matron for this thing. It's so sick.
I forgot about that.
So you could there's a lot of good things you can do with it. The other homes I think are Levon Swordcoast Sailor, something I'm going to be doing with Levon. And I want to say too, Levon Swordcoast Sailor is a deck that Dallas Walker has played quite a bit of. I've played a little bit of it. I think this commander is wildly underplayed. And the reason being is that take a quick look at the text here. Target creature, any creature. So you get to mess with everybody else's combats in ways that every spell just becomes removal or it becomes commander damage kills. Like, oh, is that Dargo unblocked? Okay, got it. Will of the Naga. Tap down your 2 opponents' creatures, they're iced, and then gush for free and make it lethal. And then the beauty of it is your opponents are like, oh wait, I actually can't take that. And then they go for the throat. So you're like, all the layering of value there is like your opponents spending removal on your opponent's stuff because you made it lethal. Oh, is that a Mole Drifter you're swinging with? Gush for free, hit for 7. Magmatic Sinkhole, sorry, it's actually it's actually 15 now. Like this commander is sick, right? And I think Gutter Snipe is an important part of that because aggro or not aggro decks, but aggro and decks that want to end the game through combat damage, so mid-range decks included, they want to hit everybody all at once while focusing one player. And we see this with Loyal Subordinate, which is something you're really bullish on. We see this with Golem, where basically we want to be hitting everybody with symmetrical drain effects while we kill one player. We justify our existence by murdering the combo player while we soften everybody else up. And that means instead of trying to kill everybody from 25 when we get to the point where we're turning the corner and hitting everybody else, they're like at 15 or 12, right? Because they've been taking damage from all these pingers. Yeah. So Levon is the same way. Levon is all about creature tokens. It's similar to Torwalkie in that you're making a lot of bodies and then you're taking the bodies and making them scary. This is also another home where Murmuring Mystic is going to be so degenerate. You just like, really good.
It's another thing that rewards you for your non-creature spells.
Yeah, and then you can take the 1/1s and you can buff them up, and they're evasive. So that's a really good home. I think another one is Mischievous Chimera, which is a really good curiosity deck, and Gutter Snipe is another curiosity target. Mischievous Chimera ends up in those decks being a backup for a backup curiosity target because it can only do it once per turn. But cards like Gutter Snipe are unbounded, so you can just do it over and over and over again. And then, honestly, the Third Path Iconoclast this is a great home.
So I have some news to report.
Clay and I have been working on TPI.
Well, there's a few different versions of TPI that are kind of going on behind the scenes. The one on my side that's public is the knack combo one, which I've been having some really good success with.
You beat me with it just yesterday.
Yeah, I won with 5,000 soldiers. It was great.
It turns out you don't need a pinger to win. You just make 5,000 soldiers, make sure they don't die, and swing the next turn.
Yeah.
Pretty sick.
So,
Sounds
uh,
like Abdel, doesn't it?
yeah. So I don't have Gutter Snipe in that list because it doesn't interact with the Nat combo package very
No, right.
well. But there are versions of TPI, e.g., like a flicker-based one, or just a mid-range value pinger. Like there's some updates that I saw recently on a specific list. Uh, it's pretty dense.
Yeah.
It's got some juice, as
Let's
my man Sniffs likes to say. Got some
uh
juice.
for patrons, I'm going to be soon releasing um, the the updated TPI list, and it is going to be this deck is hit critical mass, um, and basically having 11 mass pingers in your deck means that you are actually really statistically likely to draw one of them in your opening hand every
Hmm.
fucking game.
Hmm.
I talked with Bodarn, who
Hmm.
works with you on the cPDH.guide,
Yep.
and he's got a great grasp of math. And so I was like, Bodarn, I'm kind of curious, like on some stuff that I talked to Alcadron a lot about, one of the members of the RC, also the PDH pod. I'd asked him questions about discrete mathematics. And basically, the question is like, I wanted to know how many cards you needed in your deck to consistently draw it every game, if you're willing to mulligan to 6. So if you have to get into some complicated math when you I think what's it called? I might have to check here on. Clay's gonna go away for a second here, but let me look up Bodarn.
I will
He had a
never go
name for
away.
this.
You can never get
Yeah,
rid of me.
you can never get rid of me. This is called.
Well, here, while you're looking at that, I was going to talk about another point relative to pingers. So, uh, I know that Gutter Snipe is just one more pinger in an arsenal of a lot of other pingers, but the way that the tech is working out is that previously in pinger-based decks, you'd only see like maybe 6 or so.
I mean, if
Uh,
you're lucky, like
right.
I mean, it's
So
most
so
decks don't fill
historically,
those things.
binomial distribution, nice.
That's the
Yeah,
word. Yep.
yeah. So because of the low pinger count, and people were really tailoring these pinger packages to be really specific. Um, this is just anecdotal. I have the data guy has no data to back this up, but like maybe you'd see like 8 or so damage to each opponent, over the course of the game, which is it's great in closing things out. But it's kind of weird. It fits in this weird thing of like, is it enough? Is it not enough? What's the
Yeah.
impact? That sort of thing. Now,
Yeah.
some of the more modern pinger decks that we've been kind of like seeing and brewing in the last like 2 weeks or so, especially with the addition of black and all that stuff,
Yep.
we're hitting a real critical mass of pingers. And
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to be in double digits. I feel like, and I have
Oh
no
yeah.
way of proving this,
Well,
but
we
I
already
feel like,
are.
yeah.
I'm in double digits in TPI. I'm at 11.
No, no,
And
no.
you know what the number?
I'm in
Oh yeah, for what?
double digits in accounting, double digits in repeatable average damage done to every opponent every game. So if you can get 12, or so damage, 12 is a nice sweet spot. If you can
Yep,
guarantee, 10 to 12 damage, that's a really good closeout plan.
it is. It's very strong. And the way you have to read these cards is
Mm-hmm.
that this is an unblockable 3. It's a 3 mana unblockable creature that hits for 6.
Mm-hmm.
And it hits for 6 if you only cast one spell. If
Mm-hmm.
you cast more than one, it hits for 12. This is a 12 power 3-drop creature with only 2 spells cast. You go Opt, Brainstorm, 12 damage. I mean, it's so much. And for each player, it's 6.
Mm-hmm.
Unblockable 6 damage. It's crazy. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, TPI is running 11 of these now. And
Mid
yeah,
mid
like
mid range TPI is running.
mid-range TPI is running 11 of them. If you're
Yeah.
running a Peregrine Drake combo, then all of these become an infinite mana outlet. So, or
Mm.
sorry, infinite flicker outlet. You don't even have to have anything to do with it. You just have Gutter Snipe in play, Peregrine Drake, Ghostly Flicker, like that, and they
Mm.
just die. The other thing I want to mention about this too is that I've been talking a little bit with some people on the side about Cormella, and Cormella is the Grixis deck that people were playing with like Exhume and Demonic Gift, where you basically go infinite and you can make infinite Izzet colors
Mm.
with Cormella with that reanimation. And I've never been a fan of that combo. It feels like Reanimator in every other format, where it's like loses to counter spells, loses to removal, loses to graveyard hate, loses to
Mm.
everything. And they were very turbo. So they were
Mm.
built to go very fast, which made them super vulnerable by proxy of their speed and by proxy of how their combo is executed.
Mm.
But what I haven't seen until RIW Hobbies, when somebody that I'd worked with there brought the deck, is Cormella Ghostly Flicker Peregrine Drake combo. And what you get
Yeah.
there is you get Brain Spoil to find Peregrine Drake, and you get to play pingers, which means that even if you don't have a payoff card, right, like something like a Whispers of the Muse or something like that, you don't even have to play those. You play pingers, which
Mhm.
are a mid-range plan to end the game.
Mhm.
You play pingers that are also your infinite mana outlet, and then you play all the initiative creatures to flicker as also having infinite mana combos. So not only do you get all these ways to tutor for your combo, and also to get it back, because you can play Reaping the Graves, which works really well with all the Archaeomancers and all of your combo cards, Peregrine Drake, right?
Mhm.
But it's all layered into this thing where you can also just play Pestilence and Crypt Rats.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I'm a combo deck, but I can also just like wipe the floor with everybody. Now you get Drown in Sorrow. Your commander is a 2/4, so it holds a Pestilence. It
Mhm.
blocks well. And all Cormella really does is it's like an incidental Archaeomancer that blocks and ramps you. So that's a really cool list. The person who I was working with this on it is still working on the list. I won't share their name right now, just because keep that secret. But it's a very cool deck, and this
Mm.
is another card that's going to give them just another pinger,
Little
another fair win
a little
condition.
juice. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And you can see a world where if you got 12 damage in with something like this just by playing the game, and then you get a Pestilence in play, boom, go to town. So that's the breakdown on Gutter Snipe. The card is really good. It has some really, really excellent homes.
They say it's really good.
They say it's really good.
They say.
They say. Yep. Moving on to the next one, we've got Rapacious One.
Mm.
This is a card that probably has a lot more homes than what I'm identifying here, because it hits on a lot of different notes. This is a hell of a top end.
Yeah, so the thing that I wrote in my first note here is there is a big red non-Dargo deck out there that's just
Yep.
waiting to be built, and this is a shoe-in as a mid-game mana accelerant.
Yep.
There's I was trying to look into the future to see what's being enabled, and I try to do this. Derek, I thought the same thing.
Oh
Aaron, a
God.
street urchin. Yeah, so like being able to.
Jeez. I hate it. Stop.
So
I'm
but
still scarred mentally from playing against
Yeah.
Ankylosaur at RIW.
So Rapacious One is an interesting one because it's a 5 power trampler. The mana cost is kind of not every
Expensive.
deck. Yeah, not every deck is built to handle that. But this is the perfect example of investment in returns out, right? So if you're able to get it to stick, of course you have to wait the turn unless you have a haste enabler. I know, I'm not trying to tell you how to live, but
Yeah.
if you're able to land this and utilize this, this is one of those spells that will put you ahead.
So this is the ingredients for this are that we need to be a ramp deck. We also actually, okay, sir. First and foremost, you need to be a ramp deck to play this. This is 6 mana. So you need to be first a ramp deck. Second, you need to be a deck that cares about things that you can sacrifice or cares about producing a lot of mana with those bodies.
And you need a payoff. Yeah.
And you need a payoff for it. So one of the places I actually don't have listed for this here is Fathomfleet Swordjack. This card is sick there. Fathomfleet Swordjack already wants haste. It has haste enablers. It wants lots of mana. And it has equipment to make this have more power. So you could like land this off of all your rocks. It also ramps really well. You have all these rocks. You like land this, give it Crystal Slipper, hit for 6, make a bunch of these things that you can sacrifice. They're also blockers. And what
Mhm.
did that deck always have trouble with? Dying in combat, right? Because you hit everybody for 12 or something, and people are like, I can't take that again. Like,
Mhm.
it's got to stop, right? Um, so Rapacious One definitely seems very good there.
Mhm.
There's also a new mono red commander that we're going to be looking at that I think could play this. The big Monarch Dragon that makes 5/5s
Mhm.
is also going to play a lot of rocks. It's going to want to have blockers. Obviously, in Mayhem Devil, this is fucking stupid. Like
Yeah,
cranial plating.
5 sacrifice triggers. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. I like it a lot. There's a lot of cool things you can do with this in Mayhem Devil. I think Gut Agent of the Iron Throne is probably a stretch. I put that on here. It's expensive. And that
It'd
deck
be like
really,
the top end
the
on
top end,
mid-range. Yeah.
which is fine. You can play cards like that.
Mhm.
That's totally fine. Stormclaw Rager, it's obviously pretty stupid there because you could like sacrifice if you have like 4 of them in play, you can sacrifice one to pay for the mana for Stormclaw Rager to eat another one, and for 2 mana you can just draw 2 cards. So it's really good there. And then Jury seems like a fine home for it as well, except that
The
Jury tends to
mid-range.
be lower to the ground, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
mid-range version of Jury, not the
mid-range
hyper
Jury.
aggressive. Yeah.
Right, and Jury can be built in a lot of different ways. I even think like it. I've never seen anybody do it, but like a control Jury is probably an option too, where it's like it's just hard to swing into Jury. Jury's kind of unblockable because nobody wants the damage trigger going on them. There's a lot of things there.
Mhm.
And then the other one that seems really good is Mr. Orfeo.
I don't believe you.
I want to make this thing 10 power and make 8 tokens. I want to do that real bad. The thing in Mr. Orfeo, I have a new version of it that's going to be coming out soon, where instead of playing like Night's Whisper, Read the Bones, Sign in Blood, Deadly Dispute, that kind of stuff, our
Mhm.
draw spells are all going to be cycling creatures. And all these cycling creatures are going to have 4 or more power. And so they're also going to be threats. So we're going to be able to play these creatures out when we all have lots of mana, and the deck is going to ramp quite well. And then it's also just going to have all of its like card draw built into its creature base, which will also be recoverable with Blood Fountain, Death Denied, Reaping the Graves, Mortuary Mire, Haunted Fengraph, Witch's Cottage, that kind of shit.
Mhm.
And so I think in that home where it's going to be super creature dense and you're going to want to have lots of
Yeah.
mana, if you hit once with this, you're going to be able to cast all your spells.
Let
Just
me
sack them to make a bunch of mana.
allow me to gush on my co-host for a second. So earlier we kind of made mention of like not that we need to remind the community who we are, but like the old dojo spirit about try everything, fail fast, fail first, all of that stuff. So Ryan has a new toy and it's cycling. And whether it's good or it's bad, like, who cares? Who gives a shit? Listening to him and his excitement over this thing that he's exploring, like in the end, like 2 weeks from now, he can come back and say, okay, that was bullshit, right? But he has the courage in a supportive environment to try. And if he fails, he fails. If he succeeds, he succeeds. But the point is like, watching him and his enthusiasm over this thing, like this is reminding me about this community that we love so much. So I
Well, thank you.
gush
Thank you.
gush gush over.
Yeah. Well, and I, I I think what's really important for me on a personal level is that I'm a perfectionist, and at the heart of perfectionism is an anxiety. At the heart of any perfectionist is somebody who's really worried about getting something wrong
Mm,
or being looking bad or looking dumb. There's like an element of like fear that comes in with it where it's like I'm afraid to look bad, right? And
mm,
I could just say that openly, right? Um, I'm afraid to build something that doesn't work. I'm afraid
mm,
to try something that didn't make sense. I'm afraid to perform poorly in a tournament, with my status, right? And so the reason that this is so important that we be able to lean into the discomfort of potentially being wrong and making mistakes is that is how we learn.
mm-hmm,
And when I lived a year in Costa Rica at a permaculture, homesteading, rural sustainability apprenticeship. in the jungle, and I was there for a year. And one of the things that really profoundly affected me about being there is that every element of their property was designed for us to fail safely.
Hmm.
They didn't want us to have the answers. They knew we didn't. They would send complicated stuff at us. They would give us challenging things. And the whole point was to make us fail over and over and over again. And you bet your bottom dollar, I fought that tooth and nail. And it was to my detriment that I did. And it was only like months in when I realized, dude, Ryan, stop trying to be right about everything.
Embrace.
Stop, yeah, embrace fucking up.
Hmm.
You know, dig up that tree over there, transplant it, coppice it down to like no leaves, and see what fucking happens, because that's what this place is designed for. And when I finally embraced that, I start my growth pattern was like maximized so much. And I spent 3 months learning from a master carpenter how to build a table. And I built a gorgeous table, and I learned so much because we fucked up so many times. And it was really important. So to wrap it back to what I'm saying here is that it's super important that we as a community encourage and support each other in making mistakes and trying new things, because that's when we're going to learn.
Hmm.
And so I'm really trying that right now with the cycling thing. And every indicator of every deck that I'm putting it in has been really positive. So, I mean, like the first 3 games I played with Roll
they're
Parasite.
cycling in Legacy right now. So
Dude, yeah, these cycling cards that I've been crowing about since they came out, I was probably the first person to be like, these cards are insane everywhere. Living End in Modern is playing them. You're playing Lorien Revealed over 2 islands in Legacy Delver because it's a 5-mana draw 3, or it finds Mystic Sanctuary, or it finds Volcanic Island, or it finds like all these things, right? Troll of Khazad-dûm, the Oliphant, these are disgusting in Modern Living End. The cycling cards in Pauper are making Reanimator very, very good. Very, very good. So, I'm excited about the cycling thing, and I think this is going to be something that fundamentally will change PDH. cPDH will be different after I figure this out, because it's good. Combine Reaping the Graves with it, and it's like end of turn, I'm going to draw 5 cards uncounterably, and then I'm going to cast my threats and I'm going to end the game with them. I don't even need to build a win condition in my deck, because my lands, my cards that might draw spells with, they're uncounterable. I can get them back, and they're going to be beaters. So very excited about it. And Mr. Orfeo is one of them. And I think Rapacious One is going to be a place where that's going to be very good. So
okay.
Moving on from Rapacious One.
Next card.
We got Spite Bellows. We got Rakdos Scam now. This is another, it's not an ETB, it's an LTB, which does make it more awkward. But it's less awkward in some other ways. 5 mana, 6 mana, 6/1. When it leaves the battlefield, deal 6. You can evoke it for 1 and 3 red. Of course, the best way to utilize this is with Undying Evil, Undying Malice, Feign Death, Fake Your Own Death.
Yeah, so the way I phrase this is like a 3 mana sorcery speed, 6 damage to a creature spell is not
Sorcery speed
necessarily.
murder.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wouldn't be necessarily the first thing that you would go for at sorcery speed. So I feel that this is contingent on what the rest of your deck is. And you already talked about Grave Recursion, Feign Death, that kind of stuff. So like on its face, this is not going to replace like a targeted removal or something that's any target, or something of that nature. Like it's not a it's not a massive raid.
No.
But even then, massive raid has building contingencies, right?
Yeah.
So
and there's a lot. I mean, Spite Bellows works really well with Dread Return.
Yeah. So it's a matter of like be cognizant of the formula of your deck and how this fits in.
I think the thing that's really interesting about Leaves the Battlefield, and Derek, I think, is pointing this out right now. I haven't heard your full thought there, Derek, but maybe I'll try and skeet shoot it and see if I can hit it before you're typing. When you cast a Flicker or you cast a Undying effect on this, everybody looks around and they're like, it's already going to die.
Hmm.
So why am I trying to stop it? Okay, so what? They get like a 7/2, which is a big deal. I mean, 4 mana gives you a 7/2 that killed something. It's a flame Dunkavu. Um, like this yeah, all the blue bounce spells. There's another
Hmm.
one too. Yeah, all the blue bounce spells like run away together or yeah, withdraw is a good one. A little more mana intensive, but you can totally do it. This card is really, really, really strong.
So
And
it's not when it dies, it's when it
no, it
leaves.
isn't. It's when it leaves. And that's
Mm.
huge because that means we can flicker this with Ephemerate. We can flicker this with Cloud Shift. We can do it with Scroll Shift. We can
Mm.
do it with Flicker of Fate. So many good uses for it. And it's also something that like if we have it untapped and we block with it, people aren't going to want to attack into us because it's going to mean that they're going to have to contend with 6 damage. So it's weird in that like you're not going to get the damage unless you know, evoke it and commit to
Mhm.
losing it. But if you have the tools to reuse this, then you get this thing. I mean,
It's
I
a
played a game.
it's a modal spell too.
It's modal, yeah, and it's a big body. This is a huge beater. In the game we played recently with Cardur, I was in a pod that I was very disadvantaged in. It was like 3 combo players, and I was playing Cardur, and there was nobody producing creatures to like goad and get attacking. So I had to go on the aggressive plan, and I scammed this out on like turn 5, and I just had a 7/2, and I ended up dealing probably 28 damage with this card. I hit the Tatiova player 3 times and then somebody else once, and I killed a creature. And if they killed it or they bounced it, then I'm
Mhm.
going to kill something else, right? So it has the ability to pivot into something really powerful like that. Derek says functions a lot like an ETB, but with the benefit of double dipping into the gray flicker stuff. Yeah. So some good homes for it. Abdel, obviously, just like with the Cyclops, flickering this thing is going to be really good. You know, it's going to set up some removal engines that are really sick. It's a heck of a rattlesnake. That's a good way to put it. And the other one is Cardur because we do play the Gray Flickers. I think that's a really good home for it to scam it. I think that Spite Bellows may make people look into what other Gray Flicker packages they should be playing because Grave Flicker with this thing is just so strong. I
Mhm.
mean, it was a 7/2 off of an Undying Malice. It's huge. Um, and nobody wants to
A
block it
s-
because they don't
a
want to
7/2
give
for a 7/2 for 4
for
mana.
4 that killed something and will kill another thing.
Yeah.
That's a lot of value. Um, so another good home for it because of the flickers is Shadowfax. You're not going to cheat this into play with Shadowfax almost ever. But
No.
the deck runs 5 flickers,
Mhm.
and we can flicker to cheat this into play and kill things, and then if we hold it back, you know, and then it just becomes this piece that we can flicker while it's in play, while it's been there for a bit. We can flicker it to kill other things too, and so. If they try to stop the flicker by killing or bouncing the Spite Bellows, it's still going to get the 6 damage.
Mhm.
So like stopping the flickering and the reusing of this is very hard. So pretty stoked on this card. Any other thoughts on this one, Clay?
Nope.
Yep, got it. Cool. Well, we got a 3 damage sweeper for 4 mana.
So, if I may, I wrote some notes. I respected our time together enough to write some notes, and I have a very hot take here. So, Sulfurous Blast is its initial rate is better than Pestilence.
Oh yeah, a lot better. Like a lot better.
To do the same amount of damage. So if we assume Pestilence being sorcery speed and we calculate this at sorcery speed, you know, you'd have to pay 7 mana to do the same thing. So this is I'm very excited about this card. Needless to say, I have a little stack already set aside.
Yeah.
every deck, like it's already in Crackling Drake.
Oh, it's so good in Crackling Drake.
It's already there. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of interesting because Crackling Drake isn't enthusiastic about taking the damage to the face or to dealing it, but it is instant speed, and it can do up to 3, which is a big deal. Main phase it for 3 or instant speed it for 2, and you can. I mean, this card's great.
Then it hits face.
It hits face, which I mean, I don't like that in Crackling Drake because it's hitting our face too, and we need that life total. But
Yeah,
there's other decks
but
though where
I
this
can
is sick.
recall a handful of, now I can't recall the details or all that stuff, but I do vaguely recall over the last year, 18 months, uh like combo decks winning with one or two life left,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and you know, I've I'm always
it
looking
can
for a
happen.
lightning bolt. Yeah, you know.
Sometimes somebody's low and you hit them with Crackling Drake, and it's not commander damage, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And maybe you need to get a little extra over the line. This will help you with that. I also love that this Sulphurous Blast, alongside with the new Shipyard Dowser, which is the new Archaeomancer, it doesn't die even if you cast it during the main phase because it prowesses itself. So that's really cool. The 3
Hmm.
damage doesn't kill Pneumatic Wall, which is great. It doesn't kill Crackling Drake. So pretty sick card.
Hmm.
Um, Torwalky is also a hell of a home for it.
Hmm.
Torwalky makes this hit
It
everybody
will
for
die.
4.
Yeah, yeah, it
It will
will.
kill Torwalky, but Torwalky also dies to Fiery Cannonade, Breath Weapon. It still dies to those.
Yeah, and
Um,
Torwalky was also playing a lot of that Grave Flicker stuff too. So
yep. Yeah. So I think it's a good home for that. Cardur is another good one. Cardur, it kills Cardur, which is great because we want to reuse Cardur.
you just want to
So
recast it. Yeah.
it's a great home for it. Mayhem Devil is on there, but I think I didn't mean that. Mayhem Devil is not really a good home for this because we actually have a lot of small things that are like mid-sized threats that we want to use as an engine to produce treasures and stuff. Thanatos says doesn't kill Spell Spear. Gitaxian Spellstalker. Yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
So you can cast this. Double Prowess will not kill it. That's really good point. Yeah. Cards like this are great for the format. I like sweepers. I love control.
They're tremendously great for the format, especially when they say instant speed.
Yep, instant speed is really big here. So very cool card. Excited to use this. It makes red control decks better by a
Mhm.
lot.
Mhm.
And Rakdos control decks are getting, honestly, Rakdos and like decks in general are getting really, really pushed. Like one of the big, like broad overarching things is we got a lot of good sweepers. We got a lot of good repeatable removal that's kind of expensive. So you kind of want
Mhm.
to be a control deck. And we got a lot of stuff that just generally made Izzet and Rakdos and blue, black, red stuff really sick. Green and white had different pieces that they got that are a little bit different in characteristics. But
Huh.
man, this is
Well,
like we got Drown in Sorrow too. So
that's good. Thanatos. Yeah, I hope that not only will this set bring them back to the store, that you'll have a fervently thriving scene thereafter too. Because, like, I mean, isn't this the greatest format like
it
ever?
really is. Yeah. I I had a great chat today with Jin Shooting Star, one of our patrons. And he was just gushing. He's like, this feels like the best format of Magic that there is. And it was like, yeah, I mean, we don't have to ban cards. Like, I can think of one card that might get banned at some point. I'm going to leave that for you all to wonder about. But I think that it's quite likely that the bans will be very few and far between.
Hmm.
Very, very few and far between. Every other format out there is constantly struggling with so much discontent around power creep, right? Modern is constantly full of people just whinging about the latest card that pushed and broke the format.
Hmm.
The One Ring is a great example. The One Ring is like breaking cEDH. It's broken Legacy. It's broken Modern. Um, like, Orcish Bowmasters.
Hmm.
So our format is like kind of immune to that stuff.
Hmm.
If it's not in the command zone, it's probably not going to need a ban.
Well, so this set is a signal that, now, we weren't the target. 60 card popper was
We
the
don't
target.
know. We don't know. Maybe.
So I'm gonna ask Evan Verhey to his face
Yeah, Gavin could tell us.
in Vegas, but
Yeah.
I fully expect that 60 card popper was the target for these downshifts. They want to shake up the meta. They got that committee that looks at the meta game and the health of that format. And
I mean,
I
Dread Return. That was such a targeted downshift to an archetype that didn't have another. Black didn't have a 4-mana reanimator spell.
I wish I could
It all
remember. I wish I could remember Liam on the latest episode of PDH Pod podcast was talking about a specific card because I trust people who play that format more than me, and he's like, yeah, there's one specific card that signals that, like you're saying, Dread Return, but it wasn't Dread Return, it was something else. So if there's two separate people involved with 60 card Pauper that are saying, yeah, this particular card smells funny because, it's indicative of, you know, them trying to modify that format by force, So
I mean, everything about this set as an aggregate dramatically pushed the power level, broadened the coverage, and increased the density of replicate effects. Like, it gave us new stuff. It gave us more of the stuff we had.
Oh, it gave us
better
gift.
stuff.
It was generous gift. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's just really cool. I mean, like, Murmuring Mystic is playable in Pauper now. Holy shit, we got Murmuring Mystic before we got Young Peasy. What up?
So needless to say, Sulfurous Blast is good. It's very good.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
So
definitely.
that's the last of the commons.
I think that is. Yep. There's the end of that one.
Before we get into uncommons and whatever it is that you were bringing up on screen there.
Yeah. So let's do uncommon, and then we'll do type creature. This is going to show us, and then it's going to be R equals color is less than or equal to red, I think is what we're looking for.
I just did equal red.
Well, I want to see the other stuff too, which we've already covered these ones here. So we'll start with these ones here. The ones that really caught my eye are very limited, but this is one of them.
So like let's eliminate. So like Squee.
Yeah. So let's go back here. There's all of this stuff is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Except for this.
Well, I can't see.
Skyline Depot or Despot, but like this one here grants unblockability. You can discard cards.
Let's talk Skyline Despot.
Yeah, this is the most clear one to me where I'm like, oh, mono red control.
So
yeah,
I get accused all the time about not publicly disagreeing with Ryan on stuff.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, really?
And
you can disagree with me on this.
Well, no, the funny thing is like I think the problem is just because I don't. Okay, what you don't know is Ryan and I, kick each other's asses behind the scenes.
Oh,
and it's because we respect each other enough to not do that in public. Plus, like when mommy and daddy like fight, which we're not fighting, but disagreements can be heated when there's emotions involved. Like why would we do that in public? So
no, and we keep it civil. That's the other thing. Like that, I think that's the other big thing that people they may see, like that we're always in agreement and be like, oh, they're sycophants for each other. But no, it's like
no,
I mean, like
he and I have we have about maybe
very different deck building.
30% overlap. 30.
Yeah, and that's great. It's really important because you cover combo. And I cover basically everything else. You also do aggro. So like our crossover is kind of an aggro, but like I'm on the mid range and control, and you're on the on the combo and aggro, and I do some aggro as well. And it's good. It's important for the coverage that we have that we do different things. And this card right here screams to me control. It's so much mana. It is so much mana. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's card advantage. And those bodies are fucking huge.
This is what I wrote. If it were a 5-mana 3/3 with Monarch that produced 1/1s, it would see play.
Yes, it would. Yeah.
Hands down.
I will be trying this card. I'm going to be trying and failing with this card a lot because I love the idea of mono red control. Red has a lot of sweepers in it that people don't know about, like Martyr of Ashes. You also have Bloodfire Infusion. We have Sulfurous Blast. We have Swirling Sandstorm. We have Breath Weapon. We have Fiery Cannonade. So that's like 6.
What's that sorcery speed one that does 2 damage each creature?
Oh yeah. I always forget about this one. It's called Lava. flow, I want to say. Yeah. Oh, no, 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 no. Let's see. It's O attacking, O2, CMC equals 5, type instant, rarity common, color equals red. Not 5, color equals red. There we go. Yeah, Lava Storm. Sorry. Lava Storm is the one. This is a sweeper that nobody plays.
And look at
And they
that
should.
art. Look
It's
at
sick. It's dabbing, dude. It's like the original dab. The other original dab, by the way, is Furious Assault. Magic did it first, but this guy's dabbing as well. I love these cards. Lava Storm is a sweeper that a lot of people don't know about, and this reads 2 damage to attacking or blocking creatures. You get to choose.
Yeah.
You get to choose, and it's an instant. And it is 5 mana. It's a lot, but 2 damage sweepers are plenty good in this format to take this kind of a replicate effect. And so I really think that when I look at this Despot card here, I see a mono red control deck that plays all the sweepers, plays all the value ETB red cards, clogs up the ground, plays good burn spells, and yeah, if we get, dude,
I can see
Thanatos, Pyrohemia, if that's the one card. I just want Pyrohemia. If I could get no other card ever again, give me Pyrohemia, and I will go to my grave a happy man. Pyrohemia is Pestilence in red. It's color shifted. We're never gonna get it. It's not gonna happen. But like, a man can dream. Skyline Despot.
How much does Pestilence see play in 60 card?
Not much.
How much would a red Pestilence see in 60 card?
Probably not much. It would see play.
I think so. What I'm thinking.
Sorry,
is
Derek. I just don't care. Let it burn. Pyrohemia is all about lighting us all on fire. Balance be damned. This would be awful in draft.
What I'm saying is that they would downshift it in a master set or something like that. That wouldn't or some other non-draftable straight to modern or whatever. That kind of set. Yeah, like Fiery Cannonade, Breath Weapon, all of these I feel proved, was the case study for Sulfurous, the downshifting of the was that Sulfurous Blast. So like, if the case study is there that Pyrohemia would be fine, I think that it's a likely candidate for
maybe a commander deck. That could be another downshift is in a commander deck. That actually seems way more likely now that I think about it.
Yeah, they can place it somewhere that it doesn't have an impact on limited or something like that. I mean, they're releasing 50 million supplemental products.
Like I mean, the funny thing is in limited, I don't even know how this would see play because it's so slow.
Yeah.
Right. The one place that you want this is maybe somewhere in 60 card Pauper, but mainly it's cPDH.
And I think the way that so I think what Derek's worried about is how it would, because it would have a drastic impact on the casual side of PDH.
I don't think it would. People don't play Pestilence in casual.
I'm walking down the road. You got to follow me.
Oh, I gotta
yeah. You can't jump ahead. You gotta walk with me here. So, the reason why I think it would be fine is because, people would think twice about playing the low butt, the small butt creatures, but I think it'll just increase the opportunity to, people will choose, like in the same way 60 card, they're choosing to play 3 butts to avoid Cannonade. I think it'll be the same thing. It'll be a building consideration, and just through those considerations, it'll just weed out Pyrohemia as a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like in casual, like, because we have to be real that in casual, people don't play sweepers and they don't play as much removal. It's just not what that sub format is about at all. So this would not devastate casual. It would not be oppressive to casual. It would be a very good card in cPDH. It would be a finisher. It would be a way to reset the board. The reason that Pyrohemia and Pestilence are so good in our format is that they're good when you're ahead and they're great when you're behind. They're cards that allow you to kind of reset everything and start from scratch. So I like that a lot.
So Derek, I'm gonna push back against you, buddy, because I love you. Derek says the fact that the most recent printings of Pestilence was an upshift does not incline me to think Pyrrhemia will make its way down. So if you discount Mystery Booster, if you discount the 30th anniversary editions because those were straight reprints, the last time Pestilence was printed was the Battle Box Royale set, and then before that, Classic 6th edition.
Yep.
Now, I think the reason why it was upshift to uncommon is they were concerned about the draft environment. Where we're talking about a downshift of Pyrrhemia in the
Sixth
last
edition.
was it 6th edition was the last booster
That's
release.
a
Yeah,
long time ago.
that's a whole. So number one, that's 20 something years ago, and number two, like uh, they didn't have the supplemental products that they have now.
Yeah.
So they didn't
So
have
much
the
of it.
safety of
Yeah.
printing it into a non-draft set. This was printed at Uncommon at that era because of
Yeah.
draft.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is that like it's just
How's that
quite
for some
likely that
hot takes?
yeah, I love it. No, it's great. I think that it's the kind of card that we could see downshifted, and it's a pretty safe sweeper because it's slow, right? And it wants a specific home, a red control deck, which is like unusual, right? So Pest would be printed at common in any current set that isn't actively bad. Yeah, I mean that's a it's a this is we should be clear. Pyrrhemia and Pestilence are really bad in 1v1 mostly,
Mm.
really bad. Like in limited, you play that card on 4 and you just die on the next turn, or you
Mm-hmm.
can't even pay the mana to crack it because you're just gonna die. Like limited is so fast these days that like, yeah, I mean, I just think like
Well,
I it
also we
wouldn't be
have to.
limited though. This is a commander downshift, right? It would be a
So
one of in a commander deck, right?
so I don't know if this is connected, but also Derek has expressed, and this is not belittling or bemoaning
No, of course not. No, no,
his opinion on that.
no, no, no.
I'm mainly telling him
We all
he's
civilly we can civilly disagree about these things.
so
I think this is playable. You don't. That's fine.
the uptick in the number of pingers in the format. He's been vocal and he hasn't. It leads to boring game states. At least I think that's the way he was putting it.
The
So
pingers,
yeah, the pingers.
huh?
Lead to some like boring game states, and at least I think that's what he was saying.
Not for me.
So yeah, I think this might tie into that a little bit as well.
Right.
He would rather something. Derek is a phenomenally
Yeah, yeah,
complex
yeah.
dude, and he loves very intricate,
That
mechanics
is
and
not my
interactions.
motivation. I understand completely where Derek comes from because we've had you on, Derek, like plenty of times to talk
Mhm.
about stuff, and you bring a very important perspective to these things. I do not come from that perspective of looking for purely interesting mechanical cards. I want cards that I can play with, and I want to play with Pyrrhemia. And it may be irrational, and that might be the true. I also don't think it's that irrational. I think that in a commander set, you could totally see a red aggressive or like red damage everybody kind of a thing, like a Circara kind of a thing. Totally have a Pyrrhemia
Oh,
at common.
Eldraine's coming up.
Eldraine. Yeah, that's right.
Pyrrhemia.
Yeah, yeah. And it could be that Pestilence and Pyrrhemia are badly designed cards. I don't really care. I want them. I want them in our format, and it wouldn't break the format either. There would be cool cards that would see home in certain control decks, and it would give red a very
Yes.
powerful finisher and reset button, which I think is really cool.
A set actively designed not to be ever drafted. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, or like commander decks, right?
Because
Like
I think like Ryan said, it would be there's some validity to it would be people would consider it a bomb because of what it is, but in a limited environment it'd be like a crappy bomb, and I think it would
yeah.
leave.
Yeah, it would be awful in so many places where it just and it's not even like broken in our format. It's just another, thing. But the reason we're talking about Pyrrhemia is because Skyline Despot is a really cool card to me. And I love Monarch. I really like Monarch mechanic. The bodies this thing makes are huge.
So there's
Holy
that.
shit.
So on the surface, red ramp, okay, check. Being able
Yep.
to aggressively, in early turns, like what are we looking at? Turn 5 average?
Yeah, you could cast it on turn 5. Yeah.
So turn 5,
But it's
okay.
probably not turn 5. You're probably that I mean it's maybe. You have to be able to ramp, sweep the board, and then cast this. So it's
So
conditional on that. But it is a control deck, so it's not concerned about winning before turn 10.
hmm so the things that I'm looking at, because I'm on the faster end of the decks,
Yep,
Ryan's
yep,
on the more controlling end of the decks.
yep,
Uh, if it on average is a 10 turn format, and you're not getting around to doing the business, like, okay, so turn 5, let's say earliest turn 5, let's just say it,
yep.
turn 5 dragon, no attack. Turn 6, 2 dragons, 2 attacks. Turn 7, 3 dragons,
Yeah.
3
I mean, it's
attacks.
hard to protect. I think that's the thing that we have to recognize, is that there's no way to protect this thing from dying. And that's probably its biggest problem. And I'm only kind of serious when I say that, like, if I was to play a casual deck, this would be it. Okay. Like, it would be mono red casual control, and
And
everybody
you'd
would probably
you'd
hate me and kill
probably
me. And
be
yeah, but
yeah,
I also, just to speak to the gentlemanly, gentle personally disagreement we have here about pyrohemia. That's okay. We don't have to agree on these things. I want pyrohemia. I think it'd be awesome. You
mm,
can see the excitement in my eyes and my voice that would make me a happy Magic player. And
mm,
for a lot of other people, they'd be like, "Fuck, I don't like this card." But like, Magic appeals to people in a lot of different ways, and I love Pestilence. It's my
mm,
favorite card ever printed, hands down. So
mm.
yeah, give me red Pyrohemia, and I think it would be plenty fine, in our format and elsewhere. So
Let,
yeah,
let me pick the next one.
yeah. So Skyline Despot. I mean, to be honest, I don't think that there's any other ones here that are playable in cPDH.
Top right.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever a creature attacks, you
So
can pay.
so I went before Brownie came in and started pushing mono white big time. I was dabbling in it myself, and I built a Baird Steward of Argive deck.
Is this
Uh
whenever any? So is this multiple creatures?
huh.
Okay. So if they
So
attack you with 4 creatures, they have to pay 12.
yeah. So
Okay. Okay.
so
Yeah.
so the way that Baird was built was white has a problem with crackbacks because you gotta commit to presenting a force and doing damage, because that's kind of what white is doing. So the problem is you devote all of this effort and energy to pushing all this damage forward, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
left wide open. And Baird basically taxed. It's a ghostly prison. So
Yeah.
this is that in red. So red, which is a better attacking color, if I may say so myself, uh, you sit there and you don't even have to necessarily worry about. I mean, there could be some ramping component to this because it is 5 mana, but I look at it
Mid
this way.
range
Well, I look at
control.
it. I look at it this way. So yeah, you could have a mid-range control. You could split either way. You could go the slower route. You could go the faster route. The reason why I was saying uh, you could find. I haven't done a search, so I don't know for sure. But you could find some above rate, lower mana cost creatures, mobilize them on the board, then cast your commander, and then you have a miniature army ready to go,
Yeah.
still plugging away.
I misread this card. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't realize it would do this for each attacking creature. That is
Mm.
good. This is a good commander. And I think you're right that you could play
And it
this
survives
more
all the red
controlling.
sweepers. Yeah.
It survives all the red sweepers. It can play a lot of pingers too. A lot of the red pingers are going to be good here, because I think that even in a more aggressive one, you're still going to be casting instants and sorceries and hitting everybody. And I really think the only problem here is if somebody kills this thing before combat, then we don't get any of that, and we have no way to protect it. We have
hmm
Whisper Soul Cloak
That's
and
it. Yeah.
Goblin Kyrugen
Yeah. So this is why I
and the
would.
Brute.
So I see what you're saying with the pingers and having the pingers as a backup plan, but I think that there's opportunity as well that, ooh, regenerate, nice. I think
Yeah,
there's
our red protection
opportunity.
spell, very premium.
I think there's opportunity as well, especially with some of these more pushed red, beaters. Finding that middle ground between not the high, super high mana value ones, not the super low mana value ones. Try to commit, you know, 4 power, to the board over and over
Yeah.
again. I think you could generate enough of a critical mass in the creatures that, sure, if the commander isn't there, you're still doing, some damage there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
So
yeah,
I have a
red really sucks in the fact that you can't. Yeah, so Whisper Silk Cloak is I did a search and I tried
Whisper
all.
Silk,
Yeah,
Goblin Kyrugen.
yeah,
That's
there
basically
you
it.
go.
Now you
Yeah.
can it's not just Goblin Kyrugen. You can tutor for Goblin Kyrugen with Goblin Matron,
Hmm.
and if you have Goblin Matron and Kyrugen, then that's 2 regenerates. That's good. Like that is good. But you know, yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, it punishes people for attacking you. And the other thing is that you could have people attack you. You could do some cool politics. You say, you attack me with a bunch of stuff. I'll just take the damage and I'm going to build up a big army so that we can pressure the combo players, right? Like that's a thing you could totally do. There's some cool
Hmm.
politics here. Like think about TPI. You look over at TPI and you say, I'd like to make 8 eight
Hmm.
3/3s. Could you send 8 damage at me? I won't kill him. And they're like, sure, yeah, cool. I mean, there's some shenaniganry here that you could do.
So
I definitely think this is. I definitely I was wrong at this at the beginning. I think this is definitely good. I like that it's gonna. This is just looks like a good mid range deck to me, right? With some cool political angles and lots
yeah,
of good burn spells. Gum up the board with lots of creatures. You could play some aggressive stuff as well. Play your rapacious ones. I want to take a quick moment though. I love you all, chat, but you need a little bit of a scolding. Shame on you. Where are the likes at? We've got 11 people hanging out in here. Do you not like the content? Are you not entertained? Come on, throw us a fucking bone. Do that free thing and hit the like button. I don't usually like to harp on this, but just want to give you guys that reminder. I know I'm trained. I'm a well-trained dog. I always like the videos, but please, please do let us know that you enjoy the content. Let the algorithm at the very minimum know that you're enjoying the content and
Mhm.
like it. Like it, okay?
Yeah,
Because
because
it's
I
really
mean,
helpful. Tells YouTube that other people should see this too, and recommending through the algorithm is the number one way that our
yeah,
content gets to more people, and that is so important. That's when it starts to show up in other people's side panes without it being related to the content. And so, please do that if you would for a moment.
yeah.
Derek says, denounce Pyrohemia, and I will click the like button. These are my terms. Oh boy, that's a pinch. That's a
We
pinch,
can
my friend.
we can do without one. Like,
How about Clay can denounce we'll throw you a bone. Halfsies. Clay can denounce Pyrohemia, and I'll stay rock hard for it.
yes,
How's that work?
I officially denounce Parahemia.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. I also another card with casual that I
And my
think would be really
fingers
fun.
crossed.
There's half a like button. Yeah. But no, I really do appreciate, guys. We put a ton of work into these videos, preparing these things. Clay's got notes. I've got a presentation. We think a lot about this, and we really want to deliver a lot of value to you all to help us broaden our understanding of the format and deepen our understanding of what's possible. And we really believe that this is like the best format of Magic, and we want to bring that content to you on the regular. So, and yeah, Thanatos mentioned sharing it too. Like, when you look at the data around this stuff and the data analytics, when you share a video from YouTube to other places, that is such a heavily weighted part of their algorithm. It's massive, massive what that does. So sharing it on other servers, sharing it with your friends, doesn't matter where you share it through, if it's on their phone, through text, or on Discord, or Facebook, whatever. But it really does a lot. It does a ton. So if you guys are connoisseurs of this stuff and you want more people to play this format, it's a really easy thing to do, to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share it with your friends. And that really helps us get out to more people. Thanatos says, especially since YouTube has tried to screw over live streams. Yeah, it's hard work, and Clay and I are, not trying to get rich off this, and we're doing it for pennies right now. And it means the world to us when you guys do those little things.
There's no way to get rich off of this.
No, and we don't plan on it, right? Like, we do this because we love it. So we love you guys. We love the content. We love, all these things. Even when I was sitting there at a festival and all I wanted to do was eat a bunch of funny things and party, I sat down for 4 hours and I typed out stuff for you guys. So do that little thing. That's super helpful for us. But
Okay.
anyways, I think we're wrapping up here. Were there any other commanders that you saw here
So
that deserve
so
attention?
red is aggro. So Rakamar is garbage. Where are you at? There it is right there. Frontier Warmonger, please.
Frontier Warmonger. Okay. Whenever one or more
So
creatures attacks your opponents, they gain menace.
so
Okay.
I will agree that anything mono red has an uphill battle. Like we've seen this with Zada for the last 2 years, right?
Yeah,
And
it's hard.
Zada's the most explosive red combo deck that we have. So I don't know. I feel like if you're this is what in my mind's eye how I'm quantifying this right here. So if you're playing Zada, people are automatically going to be like, "Oh no, you're going to draw a million cards, die." Push the button. But I don't think they have that same feeling, right? Towards, I think they're probably going to be a little bit more moderate on combat. So this one here being at rate, 4 mana 4/4, gives creatures, attacking creatures menace, right? So you don't have to necessarily play a mid-range thing. I think you could push more of a hyper aggressive build because
Mm-hmm.
you're getting into that menace thing. Now, eventually, once you start, you're gonna have to close out the game in some way, right?
Yep. Yep.
So eventually, people will kind of clue in to what you're doing. So I don't know. I think there's some
There could be something here.
this.
It's probably can only die twice before you're locked out. Um, and the creature quality is not something that I'm super pumped on in red when it comes to attackers.
Mm,
Um, there's a lot of colors that give us better stuff
it
for that
gives
kind
your
of a thing. Oh,
It gives your opponents. Oh, I didn't catch that. Ah,
oh,
nice,
oh.
nice.
Okay, well, so then
Menace for everyone.
got it. So this is a group slug deck. So you want to play like Coronation of Chaos. You want to play the dwarf that basically any goat effect. Um, red.
Damn, Sniff. I can't believe I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so you've got like all of these here are going to be good. Um,
I didn't.
yeah, no, I like this. This is really cool. Now also Stirring Bard. Does this do any creature or just a creature you control? You can give any creature menace and haste with this. So you could have this in your deck and like be hasting out your opponent's creatures and giving them menace. This gives it the menace, but either way, that's really interesting. So this is kind of like maybe people don't kill you because they want the menace. I mean,
Depends
if you
on
give a
it. Might
TPI player menace, that's pretty awesome.
it might depend on. So yeah. So the
Like
trade-off is
12 menacing 1/1s.
you're enabling their plan in a way that they didn't anticipate,
Yep.
right? And they can't effectively use it
Yeah.
against you in the same way. So you're
Fascinating.
leveraging. Yeah.
So it's fascinating politics. I think somebody would have to try this out to see. One or more creatures attack one of your opponents. So it's never working against you. That's pretty cool. Um,
I
this
can't believe I
does
didn't catch that.
That's
Jesus.
really cool. I'm glad you did that, Sniff. I appreciate that. Clearly, the people that we didn't lose when I asked everybody to like our video were the good ones. Yeah, it's so funny how that works. You like ask people to do like the free thing, and then half of them are just like, "Fuck this, I'm out." He's a shill. He's a shill. But yeah, Frontier Warmonger, this is great. Thank you, Sniff, for pointing this out. This is really cool. I don't know exactly how this would be built. This seems like a great Pals meta deck. I don't know what it looks like competitively, but like it does sort of take a deck that might not be able to swing normally and maybe give them the ability to do so. I mean, it probably ends the game in certain cases. Like you land this and the Mr. Orfeo is like, oh, cool, you're dead. And they just like kill somebody. Or the TPI, or it doesn't really affect Gut because Gut already has Menace. But yeah, I mean, this is cool. It's definitely cool. Other than that, like we have some red decks that we've talked about on the other live streams.
Yeah.
We'll go over them really quick. The Melik, This we talked about with a puzzle yesterday, kind of a really really fantastic combo deck builder, who's also one of our mods in the Common Connoisseurs. For those of you that didn't know, and Melik is interesting because you can tutor for Mystic Sanctuary, and if you have Mystic Sanctuary, you could go infinite with any Ghostly Flicker effect.
Hmm.
So
Wait, any that flickers a. Oh no,
any
any.
yeah, because you can put it on top, cast it, flicker, you make infinite mana, infinite spell casts, like all sorts of stuff. There's a bunch of other stuff you can do with this. The other thing is it's a 2/4 and is it, which means you can actually play good control. You can play Breath Weapon, Fiery Cannonade, Sulphurous Blast, just to clear the board of stuff. It is 6 mana, which is a ton. 6 mana is a lot. But the fact that you have all of these great ways to tutor for Mystic Sanctuary now makes this much better because you have Shoreline Ranger, Tidal Terror, you have Lorien Revealed, you have Expedition Map. There's 4 ways to get this now, and 3 of them are uncounterable.
Hmm.
It's pretty sick.
And two ways to tutor for the flicker.
Yep. And not to mention, if you're using cards like Moment of Truth or Telling Time, then you can actually put stuff like Lightning Bolt or Galvanic Blast on top and copy it to do stuff. So there's a lot of really cool things here. There's also like Thunderous Wrath could be played in here, where you like put Thunderous Wrath on top, you cast it as a miracle or something like that. There's all sorts of weird shit. Sniff says, I've got a Melik deck built and he's pretty wild, goes infinite without even trying. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to go infinite, and I think it defends itself well. It's also a wizard, so there's like some stuff there with like Path of Ancestry. Wizard. It's a weird wizard. Weird. But you could also see this being like really gross with like any big draw spell. You just like, I don't know, you put some powerful draw spell on top and then double it up. You can double up your Brainstorms, double up your Ponders, your Preordains.
Yeah.
Problem is 6 mana means he's going to be countered and killed every time, and you're not doing much. Yeah, because it's not a 6 mana play. It's a minimum 7 because you need to have a protection spell. Right? Minimum 7. It might even need to be 8 if you have a counter spell, but like this thing, if it goes unchecked, is going to do broken and unfair things, and so it needs to die. So doesn't
just needs to die.
Just needs to die. And there's like lots of commanders like that. Torwalkie is one of them. There's a lot of commanders that just need to die, and this is definitely one of them, but that doesn't make it unplayable. It just means that we have to kind of work around that. I mean, Scholar of Ages is 7 mana. People play that. That's a ton of mana. Sniff also says it's gross with all the Dragon's Approach tech. Oh, Flame Rift nuking tables. Yeah, it sure do. Yeah, you could play like Control and then Dragon's Approach into Stirring Bard to like do like an initiative control kind of a thing.
That's kind of cool. Approach. Copied, you say?
Copied. Like even though this has a very direct combo line, I'm not a believer in just putting combo in decks that have a combo in them.
Scoff.
I think it's like, I think it genuinely makes your deck worse sometimes to slot in a combo to a deck that doesn't need to necessarily play the combo but can. So you could play Melik and just play Is It Control.
This is my problem with Flicker TPI at the moment.
Well, and like banishing Knack TPI is great. Like I actually have seen this play out and it feels great. I'm glad you cracked the code on that. Peregrine Drake kind of has no way to tutor for the Peregrine Drake, so it's like kind of hard to find it. But you are playing Distant Melody and Keep Watch, so you're playing the most powerful draw spells in the entire format, along with Of One Mind, Thoughtcast, Meeting of Minds, Ponder, Preordain, Brainstorm. Blah, 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 blah. It's like a lot of stuff. So the next one I want to talk about is Akiri, and I've had some chats with people after our Boros, our Finhorns thing.
So this actually brings up something that we didn't cover in the commons. It was the equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't cover all of them because I don't think all of them are good.
So
this one right here.
You brought up the equipment. So like, I think for Akiri and Brunor, this will probably be likely candidate because it's a 5 mana 5/1 with trample, and then when it dies, it leaves behind 3 potential power, right?
And it's red trample, which is good.
Red trample.
It's also worth mentioning
that Brunor can just attach.
And you could play this also in Rayav to have a 10 power double striking trample. Well, it's not 10. It's actually it's 5 doubled, and then so it's basically got Teamer Battle Rage built into it.
Mhm.
But it's 5 mana, so that's pretty hard. You could just play the card without making the 2/1. Actually, I have overlooked this because you don't have to make the 2/1, right? Bruner could play this a little bit, although I think Bruner is not as good as Rayav. I just have to say that. I think
I don't know.
Bruner.
Yeah.
I helped Nate Diggity build or tune and play with the Bruner, and when I discovered that Rayav was a thing, it was like, oh my god! Instead of playing like bad equipment that I can't equip unless Bruner is in play, you play cheap equipment and you turn your 1/1 flyers into 6 power creatures,
Yeah.
right? And then you just hit people early and often. I mean, Rayav can kill on turn 4. It can kill a second player on turn 5. It's a ton of damage. So something like Dwarven Hammer is an expensive equipment in that deck, but Trample is a big deal.
Hmm.
And if you're flooded on mana, then you just make the 2/1 as well.
Yep.
It's pretty good, actually. This is a Rayav card. It is a Bruner card, and more importantly, it is a. Oh, where are we going here? We gotta go. Akiri. Yeah.
Good
so
job,
this
Clay.
is an Akiri card.
Good
Nice job.
Clay.
Yeah, good way to bring it around. So the things about Akiri that are good, it draws cards, and it can draw a lot of them, and it protects its stuff. It's just kind of slow, but this reminds me a lot of Liara. Liara can't draw lands off of that effect, which I think is a big deal. You can only cast those cards now, which means that you can't really like time your removal. So if you get removal off of it, you just have to use it.
Hmm.
It's more of a ramp deck, whereas this is not, because in Liara, you hit Bonder's Ornament after attacking with 3 creatures, and you cast it for free, and it's like a ritual. You like Mind Stone, Bonder's Ornament for free, unload your hand. It kind of plays a little bit like, what's that green-white counters matter cards? It's an
Hamza?
elephant.
Hamza?
Hamza, yep, kind of like Hamza, where it has these really explosive turns. But it cares about attacking multiple players, which is inherently kind of a mid-rangey thing, and you just draw cards, which is great. So you probably play like short swords, bone splitters, cheap equipment that just like you put it on something small, you start hitting people and drawing cards. And the beauty of it is that this deck is going to snowball really hard. I think this is a snowball deck, just like Liara, where eventually you're not hitting for little amounts, right? Like you equip the bone splitter and the other stuff to like maybe one thing when you've got enough cards, and you fuck somebody up bad. And you have indestructible built into it. I think this is pretty cool that way. But I'm gonna leave this for somebody else to build. I suspect that somebody will try, and it'll probably work out.
Yeah, that's not me
but
either. Yeah.
Not me. Yeah, I like Rayav personally. Rayav just rewards you for doing everything that an aggressive deck wants to do. All of your Benevolent Blessing, Ward of Lights, Chomano's Blessing, they all give it double strike on things. It's cheap. You don't really need to draw cards if your opponents are dead. So there's that too. But I do think this is really cool. So, and I think that is the last card that we're going to cover during this live stream here.
Well,
so
I do want to say, so I want to take the opportunity with 7 people. Well, I'm one of them, I guess, with 6 people in the stream. So this past week, like, it's a testament to the people we have in this community. I mean, damn us, me and Ryan. I mean, sure, we're the ones hosting the thing, but like, Paul, Finhord Brownie, Derek, Puzzle, like, did I forget one? I did. Nope, I got all of them. And myself, like all these other people who took the opportunity to visit with us and to talk about cards and share their knowledge. Like, some of these people, like, if you've ever sat down and had a conversation with Derek or Paul, like,
he's a genius.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Like, these gentlemen should be charging for what they're putting out.
Oh, the fact that they willingly come on our show and we get to share their talent with all of you is such a blessing. I mean, these are folks that until a while ago didn't really want to be all that visible,
Mm.
you know, because the role of being on the RC can come with a lot of stress because people are reaching out to you. They might be angry at you, even if they've never met you, because they see you as part of the problem. You haven't banned something, you haven't done this and that, or you didn't make commons legal in the command zone and you're going to get flamed for it, that kind of shit, right? Like, and I like, so the fact that they're willing to make themselves available on these live streams, not recorded, but live, where people
Hmm.
can talk to them directly right then and there with no filter, no way to block them, that's a big deal.
Hmm.
And in conjunction with the talent they bring to it,
Yeah,
it is really
I can't speak
huge.
for Ryan, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna kind of echo this sentiment. Like I am humbled by these people. These are
Yeah,
pillars.
yeah,
Brownie, newly promoted to mod in the server, like uh, he's a guy that brings a lot of information regarding his favorite thing in the world, which is mono white magic cards.
stacks.
So it's like, yeah, so I feel I'm overwhelmed with gratitude, humility, the fact that we have these people, coming in to visit with us. And when I say us, I mean us, where I'm including myself and Ryan in with the crowd, because we get the get that knowledge dropped on us too. So
Oh yeah, I'm a much better Magic player for having had the opportunity to work with people like Derek, people like Paul, other people that we've had on the live streams like Brewbear is a wildly underappreciated deck builder who
mhm.
could easily have his own channel too. Teamer Sabretooth is a work of art.
Mhm.
That deck is really cool. We just lost to his like mono blue deck that was like making us draw cards,
Like 7 cards.
or like 11. I
Yeah.
mean, it was nuts. It was
So yeah.
really, really cool.
So yeah, people like that bringing
Yeah,
concepts that are they're eschewing, like
they are.
actively eschewing every right concept that you would think about how you would correctly build a deck, and what's efficient and what's fast and what's good and all that stuff. Like, you have people that are just, screw that. I'm going to try this thing because of
Yeah.
this premise or this concept. I mean, if I, we've said it a million times, Paul won a damn tournament on the back of metagaming, like taking a very specific thing that nobody was thinking about with regard to Viscopa. At least I wasn't. Like
Yeah, it was something
taking.
that I think like there was like myself and Bobby had been doing Vizcopa things for a long time, but it was like bringing that deck to a tournament as somebody who hadn't played any competitive games really in
Hmm.
cPDH, at least to my knowledge,
Yeah.
um, and bringing and knowing how to work the table too, because while I don't think the table politics now will work very well with Vizcopa, now the cat's out of the bag, the fact is that he was able to navigate all that stuff to a win at a tournament with like 44 people at it, solid half of whom were like big hitters, good Magic players, right? And
Hmm.
that was like a solid half, meaning like the people who flew there to be there, but also there's like Brian DeMars was there. I mean, he's got a Pro Tour jacket. I mean, these were like not, it's not a small accomplishment to have won at that tournament, especially given that the mix of players made it even harder to win because it was like some of them were intensely competitive and some of them were intensely casual. And there was a huge mix. And that does not increase your win rate to have more casual players at a tournament. Like it actively meant that I
So
lost one of my games. And same with
yeah.
you, right? So,
But to the crux of this whole thing is, like, talking about Brewbear, talking about Paul. You need, it is required, if you're going to innovate in a space, you need to have out of the box thinking. And once people start piling onto an idea of like efficiency and speed, those tenets mean something, yes, but they're not everything,
not
right?
everything.
They're not everything.
There's a
And
social game to play here.
yeah, well, there's a
Yeah.
social game. I mean, getting back to, like, you and I build very different decks. If I was
Yeah.
to pick up your deck, I would not play it like you, which means I would
Right.
not likely have the same win percentage as you with that deck, because I don't play it the same way.
which is why
So
we always have to caveat what we think is good and bad because we just don't know. You don't know how that person plays. You don't know how they use those cards. Like you could even look at a simple card like Resculpt. One in a blue instant speed, exile target creature or artifact. That card could be in somebody's deck for two different reasons, or
mhm.
both. It could be an Ambush Viper, right? You like turn your own artifact into a 4/4 and block something, or maybe you're playing Murmuring Mystic where you'd like kill somebody's thing, give them a 4/4, and it would never attack you because you had a 1/5, right? And so the way that people are going to play these cards is going to be completely different. Even like selective removal cards, the way that people deploy them, all that stuff is like contingent on the player. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, we're really lucky to have these people coming and joining us to help us make content and spread the word on this stuff. And yeah, I
I'm
mean,
I'm really glad they're on the RC.
yeah, me too. Yeah, we have a banger RC, and they're very responsive and very engaged, and that's pretty awesome. And this isn't to leave out anybody else who's done great content with us. We've had a
Mhm.
bunch of different people on. We had Thanatos on at one point. We Let's see who else was here that we had. We had my brain's a little bit mush. Um,
Same. It was Paul Tuesday, Brownie
Paul Two's.
Wednesday,
We had
Derek
Puzzlebox
Thursday,
on, of
Puzzle
course.
Friday.
We've had a bunch of other people who are like really good deck builders as well too, and we've been streaming for a little bit here, so my brain's not picking them up. But for any and all of you who have joined us for our Let's Builds, thank you so much. It's really
Mhm.
very validating that it's easy to that it's easy to get you to come on. It's like hey, you want to come on? And you're like, yeah,
Oh,
awesome.
and
You
to
know?
that end, like for the people that we haven't had on yet, please don't take that as a slight. That's
No, not
not
at all.
it just
Yeah, we have a lot of content scheduled out, and with set releases coming out can be very disruptive. Also, it's worth mentioning that Clay and I both have like really really busy lives too. Like Clay, you're in a project manager professional training course right now. Prior to that, you had a very engrossing full time job. I have a 40-hour a week job that I work along with this, and so sometimes things fall through the cracks, right? And we're
mm,
not able to follow up with everybody we want to. There's a ton of people I want to make content with, and it doesn't always happen because of that reason. I did want to just express gratitude as well for everybody who's here for sticking with us and our content. Um, Over the last couple of months, things have not always remained super consistent with Clay and I's participation in Discord, which was in part intentional. We wanted to create space for other people to take leadership, to
mm,
become thought leaders in this stuff. So we leaned out of that, but part of leaning out of that was also because our lives demanded it of us, right?
mm,
We've been busy. We got, and frankly, like a lot of it's unpredictable stuff. I haven't shared this with a whole lot of people, but I would like to share it now. If I haven't gotten back to you, if things have fallen through the cracks, or like I got all these messages on Discord when I was at this festival and I wasn't able to follow up on them. I've had some pretty heavy stuff going on in my family. My mom was diagnosed with ovarian cancer about 3 weeks to a month ago, and there's been like two surgeries since then. I've had a really hostile workplace environment on top of that, where um, I don't really feel good at work. It's really hard. It's like my workplace doesn't really believe me that I injured my back on the job, and they hound me about it a lot. And on top of that, getting sick a number of times. And so all of your guys' support, your continued participation, and your stick with itness with us and your patience is really heartwarming and helpful for me
mm.
because I'm pushing like 900% to like keep this thing going and to like keep moving on this stuff. And when things are hard, it feels really good to have something like this that is going well,
Mhm.
and to see you all showing up for these live streams. And this isn't a pity party. I just felt compelled to share kind of why I haven't always been able to be engaged, because I've been really scared about my mom. And so things are looking good now. They did 2 surgeries. They've taken out all the organs that could possibly have it, and she's cancer free. But I'll tell you what, for about a month there, it was like really, really touch and go emotionally for me, pretty overwhelming. So, anyways, that's kind of, if we always haven't been as active, I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I'm not able to respond to people on those things. There's been a lot going on. So anyways, not to leave on a really heavy note, it's a happy note because my mom's cancer free now. In the space of a month, I learned that she had a very rare kind of cancer. They did 2 surgeries. They got rid of it. And now she's cancer free, but that's a hell of a whirlwind for a month. It's like still coming down off of that cortisol high of like stuff. So, Zach says, you guys are awesome. Thank you for all the time you devote to this. You guys rock. Well, Zach, I always appreciate your reposts and all your support on Twitter and your participation in YouTube, YouTube and on Discord, everything. So, anyways, with that, I think we're going to wrap things up here. Clay, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you and running over Red with this. I think Red was probably one of the more exciting ones to go over, so I'm glad we saved it for last. And I appreciate all your insights on the commanders, the downshifts, the commons, and chat, all of your insights. There were a number of things that we missed there that you all had our back on, and that's why we like to do this stuff live. So it's awesome. And just a big gratitude for all of you who support our content in whatever way you do. I want to give a quick shout out, a big shout out to all of the people who support us on Patreon. If you want to join us on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/commonconnoisseurs, where we have 3 different tiers where you can support us at, one of which is only $2, about half the cost of a cup of coffee. We have let's bring this one up right here. We have our connoisseur level at 2, dilettante at 5, and aficionado. At the aficionado, you do get basically a huge slew of things. You get these interfaces here with your name custom on it. You get early access to YouTube videos that we edit on, and then we release those early, sometimes as much as a week early. We also have a new way of engaging you with our Let's Build videos before the live video happens, which is that we'll post a thread with the person that's the co-host, and you'll get to see us talking about it, and you'll get to contribute to it before the video happens. So when we start our live stream, you've already had your influence, you've already had your bit. We'll probably recognize you for being the one that found the card, and that's really fun. You get to vote on Let's Builds once a month to tell us what we're gonna work on. We'll give you a selection of commanders, and you get to pick which one you want us to work on. And then the other thing is that you get exclusive access to our supporters only part of the Discord, which increasingly is where Clay and I are posting all of our new hot tech. So supporters are going to see our TPI lists well before anybody else. Those are private and they're kept for the people who are supporters who express that support financially. We also have a $20 and a $50 level that guarantee you games with us every month and one-on-one coaching, let's building, tuning, backseat driving on games, anything you want from me on that. You have an hour of my time every month. So with that said, I'm going to take a moment to thank all of our patrons. We have had 21 of them over the course of our lifetime. But let's start with a couple. We've got the PDH Pod, Sanctuary, PDH, Jack, Eric, Adgan, Jerry, Zach, Scooby, Chris, Mizu, William, Paul, Corey, Derek, Devin, Ian, Bobby, Jin Shooting Star, Noyark. Thank you all so much for your financial contributions.
You guys rock.
You rock so much. It means the world to us, and it's just a reminder that we're on the right track, and that feels really good. It's very validating. So thank you all so much for that. And with that, there's nothing else to say here. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you all have a great rest of your day wherever you're at, and we're going to catch you all on the battlefield.
Absolutely. See you there.
Sayonara, friends. Peace out.